Well, good morning and welcome to a vlog. So, the plan for today is to go catch the sunrise. Well, that is once it starts getting light, of course, because right now it's still dark and we're walking to the sunrise location, which is great because if you get there early enough, you can catch all the good tones, like the blue hour that precedes the sunrise, it getting slightly lighter, I should say, with some reddish tones, fingers crossed, coming through until it gets nice and golden. And those will be the final photos before it turns to day. So we're going to try to make the most of this morning and try to capture as much as possible. And if you've been watching some of my previous vlogs, I often say I'm tired of going to the same locations, and today I'm actually going to a new location I've never been to in London before, for sunrise anyway. And I don't think it's the perfect location, but it being sunrise, can't really go wrong. If the weather plays along, good tones coming through, even if you're not facing the sunrise dead on, you can still get some pretty awesome shots. So that place is Millennium Bridge, so expecting the sun to be hitting from the side, but getting some golden glows all over St. Paul's Cathedral in the morning should make for some pretty awesome shots. That's the plan in my head, but let's go see if we can turn this into reality. Let's go. You're only going to be watching this video a lot later, but right now, at the time of filming, it's early October, going on mid-October. And I'd tell you, this is the best time to catch sunrises in London anyway. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say best because that's a bit subjective, but it's definitely the most convenient time for sunrises. Reason being, it's not super cold yet, despite me wearing a beanie and a jacket. It's not exactly warm either, but not exactly super middle of winter cold. But we're still in summertime yet, so we haven't changed the clocks back yet, and that means sunrise right now is after 7 AM. And that's just kind of good because you're still getting a few hours of sleep, still have to wake up early, got up at like 5:30, and feeling a lot more refreshed than I would during summer months, where the sunrise was at like 4:45, 5 AM. I mean, that's a killer. So this is pretty chilled in comparison, and yeah, most convenient time for sure. Hopefully the weather plays along, because that's the main thing with sunrise really, not how much sleep you got that night. So yeah, priorities I guess. So if you've been watching my previous vlogs, and if you haven't, you can rectify that problem by hitting that subscribe button below, and you won't have this problem going forward. So if you've been watching my previous videos, I've been hyping up a trip to Iceland really hard, and I was really excited to finally go to Iceland. And the plan was, after New York, to fly via Iceland back to London, and I totally did that. Flew all the way to Iceland, cleared immigration, left the airport, and when I wanted to go pick up the rental car that I pre-booked, the rental car company told me that my UK debit card didn't work, which is a credit card I've used many times to book cars all over the world, and all of a sudden in Iceland it does not work. So that was deeply disappointing, and I couldn't get a rental car at all that day. So instead of exploring the glaciers and waterfalls of beautiful Iceland, you're gonna have to make do with a London vlog. So sunrise in London, sorry, no glaciers, no waterfalls, but let's go check out the city instead, right? I can console myself with London. Can you? Not too bad, not too bad. But I am a little bit upset and disappointed about not being in Iceland. Can't mask that over. That's the truth. It was deeply disappointing, but I definitely will be back in Iceland at some point in my life. Maybe in the next year, maybe in the next 2 years. But when I go, the camera's coming along, and hopefully you guys will too. Spontaneously decided to climb down these steps. Reason being, the Thames, which is the river that flows through London, is actually a tidal river, and right now, like you can see, it's low tide, so you don't get this opportunity all the time just to come down onto the beach of the river. And the reason I really wanted to come here is, of course, the sunrise tones coming through slowly but surely. Check that out. That's looking beautiful. But the main reason I wanted to come here is because the river is also really calm early in the mornings, and you can see a lot of these reflections in the water, and the best way to catch those is to get really low. And now I'm just looking for a good foreground element, maybe a bit of texture over here for those broken barriers or something like that, just to get a bit of foreground interest, and with some reflecting lights in the river, with some dark blue sunrise tones coming out in the back, should be really good. So just gonna walk along this beach for a bit and see if we can find a little spot where we can get a good photo. Let's check it out. On the beach now, got the tripod all set up, and found another beach dweller over here, which is Antoine. So yeah, I haven't seen him in a long time, so it's good to catch up with him this morning, get some coffee afterwards. But right now, the main priority is catching this beautiful sunrise. So in order to do so, kind of going for like a beach kind of feel, of course, being on a beach. And this will be the foreground, these poles sticking out. And just trying to go for a really long exposure, like 2 minutes, and using some ND filters in order to get those really long shutter speeds in, which makes that water silky smooth and makes these poles really stick out of the water, giving a strong contrast to that smooth surface. And of course trying to retain as much of the highlights as possible in the sky, and using some graduated filters just to blend in the brighter sky with the foreground. So check out these tones, by the way. I think we're in for a good one. Even some pinks coming through up here, which is looking awesome. Might have to switch to a wide angle to capture these in as well. So check out this 120-second exposure. So whenever I see photos by the seaside, I often see piers and these kind of poles running out into the ocean. So that's kind of been my inspiration for the shot. Just only difference is there's no ocean and beautiful natural landscape in the background. Got the beautiful city of London back here, and that's not too bad either.
Lens pole, so basically it's making the reflection of what you see upside down, so you can do quite of cool photos. It's my new toy, so I'm trying new things, but hopefully it's going to work out well.
So it's kind of like an extreme wide angle feel, like a very creative effect on.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea is you focus on the lens pole, so you have the reflection of what's behind, and because you're using a high aperture, behind is really blurred, so it's kind of create an artistic results. That's yeah, give good atmosphere, good I don't know.
Cool, so that's us done shooting on the beach, and we're not done shooting yet because the light's still pretty lush. That early morning light's really beautiful and makes for the best photos. So next location we had in mind isn't crazy far actually. It's just Millennium Bridge right here, so let me just get the exposure right. Look at that beautiful golden glow still happening on the buildings and across the river, and lots of shine coming through, so that's really beautiful. So we're probably going to walk to this side of the bridge, just over here, and then facing all the way down the bridge, which you can't see now. We should be able to frame St. Paul's up here, so it's a really good shot. Seen the composition many times before and shot it many times before, but during this golden hour early morning should be looking extra special as well. So let's head over there. So now we're walking on Millennium Bridge. Let me just reiterate what I said earlier. Look at that golden glow coming in from the side, which makes some beautiful contrast between light and dark. So that's really awesome for photos. Just give it a side light, gives you a bit of dynamic and contrast, which is awesome. And here's that backdrop I was talking about. You see how this bridge gives you those beautiful leading lines with that cathedral in the background. It's just beautiful. So just gonna keep walking down the bridge and keep looking back to see when we're happy with the composition, and then get the cameras out and keep snapping away. So we're halfway down the bridge now, and I like this composition a lot because these leading lines are perfect and St. Paul's is framed a lot. And here's some of the thoughts that went through my mind. Think about your composition and your angles, because I took a lot of shots like this, which is me holding the camera at eye level. But if you actually just crouch down, the composition changes entirely, where the leading lines at the top now are a lot higher than me just standing up. So two very dramatic different shots by not even walking a single meter. So just bear that in mind. Don't be lazy, get on your knees, and you can get very different shots as well that have a much more striking impact sometimes. We've moved all the way to the end of the bridge, and the reason why we wanted to move here is because the way you walk onto the bridge is kind of cool. This walkway coming down the middle of a bridge and along the sides. And if you frame that just right, you got a really awesome composition on your hands. So the shots on the middle of the bridge, I took off the 35mm lens, which is a semi-wide angle lens. But now, I've actually moved over to the 85mm lens, which is just here. And that's more of a portrait lens / telephoto lens. And what that allows me to do is to frame the composition a bit tighter and just focus on the middle section here that I'm framing with my fingers. That's pretty cool because You don't have much distractions on the side, but you got St. Paul's a lot more prominent in the foreground. And I've opted for a portrait orientation just because I love this foreground up here for these leading lines rather than the landscape photo, because the sides aren't as important in the composition in this specific instance. And if you time it right, come here early in the mornings. There are some joggers running past, but if you get a good gap, you can get the bridge completely empty, which looks pretty awesome and kind of cool, because London is very, very busy, especially on the South Bank. In the afternoon, you'd never be able to get that kind of shot. I tried something different and actually went for some portraits where Antoine helped me. Antoine was manning my camera back here, and I was standing on top of a bridge just here, and it's actually not a coincidence that I'm wearing red today. That was on purpose, because I kind of had that in mind at some point. If you wear red in portraits, it kind of just really makes you pop and stand out, and that's kind of what I've gone for. Just stood here on this balustrade being a massive poser, and Antoine was firing away the shots, and hopefully one of them turned out good. If it did, here it is. Alright, so the golden glow is kind of gone now and we're moving into the daylight hours. Also, it's kind of cold and I think coffee is calling, so I think it's time to end this vlog. So thanks for watching.
And be sure to like, comment and subscribe.
See you in the next one. Bye for now. If you've been watching my previous vlogs, and if you haven't, you can rectify that blah.